Good job.
Yeah, he put in
Most
the
people
work.
that
Good
start
job
Persona
indeed.
3 don't finish it, so
No, he takes after his old man.
that's right. I'm
He's
sticking
pissed.
with it. I'm not a
Yeah,
quitter.
he gets angry at a game and keeps going.
That's right.
Oh,
Game's not gonna beat me.
Boston,
Yeah.
Boston, you totally need to explain the meme I sent to you late last night, via text.
The Dune meme?
Yes, the illusion of free choice meme.
Yeah, Moon sent that's a Far Side comic originally, right? With the cow looking down the two hallways, but the two hallways end in the same
Oh, and
place.
going the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think so.
the illusion of free choice, one side said guy who likes sand, the other one says guy who hates sand, and it just ends up with Space Hitler at the end of the hallway. Oh, it's so good.
It all comes back.
My
to sound.
favorite my favorite one might be the orange juicer one that I sent after we watched the first movie, which is my friend dies and normal people are like, haven't just got another angel, R.I.P. And it's like Fremen, and it's just like a picture of someone juicing an orange.
Oh, that's really good. Hi, Ferror. Welcome. Oh,
About
man.
to break my computer right now. Yeah.
Break it in half with your hands.
Oh, it won't let me do it. I forgot what I'm using now,
Thanks,
but
Bill Gates, keeping me down.
because I have portrait on this monitor, I have it set up so I think they're called fancy zones off the top of my head,
Yeah,
so that
I
I can
use that
change
too.
where. Yeah, and I tried to have two other windows already that's halved into a fancy zone, and my
Gotcha.
computer was like, "Oh, what is going on?"
Girl, what is you doing?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, not gonna mess with that right now.
Yep.
Just
Oh,
wanted to see
man.
how far I could push it, you know.
Yep. Favor in chat asks, Nimp, what is that thing on your doorknob?
Oh, the pillow.
Mhm.
It's a Christmas decoration that just never got put back. I think
Oh.
it's actually been there for a couple years now.
I think so. It looked familiar.
Yeah, it's just a little pillow that you hang that says "Jolly" on it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wink.
that's all. Nothing special.
Yep. Oh, man. All
I
right.
always forget it's there. That's why it's always there.
Yeah. All right. Are you guys ready to kick this thing off?
In fact, one more thing. Up
Yes.
there, if you look really closely, you can see something green hanging down that looks like a triangle. It is
Mhm.
also a Christmas decoration that my
Oh, there
daughter
you go.
made. That's been hanging up there for
Nice.
years. Batman
Yeah.
is what's holding that decoration up on that shelf.
Naturally.
All right. Enough shenanigans.
That's right. Let's get serious. Talk about
Mhm.
video games.
Yeah, sure. I saw someone holding a Lisa and Al Gabe sign at a political rally this week, so no.
It's everywhere.
Uh-huh.
The spice is flowing. Okay. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpear
Howdy.
and the Nimp.
Hello.
Quick plug here for Patreon, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers, etc., etc.
Get all the cool early access, behind the scenes, exclusive and uncensored episodes over there. $5 a month is the recommended tier. You get everything you can. Anything above and beyond that, especially your rich friend, tell them over there. Just keep adding as many zeros as you can until they say, "Yeah, I can still afford that." Get access to the uncensored Outcast. Comes out every week. We're talking about a whole bunch of non-video game stuff. I got a long list of stuff we're talking about this week. Look at this giant list. And a whole bunch of bullet points here. Talked about it. It's not super long, but we packed it full of great stuff. You get early access to We Roguelike It. Our Moon and I are playing as many roguelikes as we possibly can against doctors' orders. And we should know we're doctors. And you get early
No.
access.
You broke the illusion.
No, it's the other one.
We
It's the other-
know doctors. We know doctors.
That's right. I'll edit that out. I'll fix that in post. Then get early access to Critical Misses. and get that over where Moon and I are checking out all the media hits we missed. We're going through. We're making like 3 seasons at once right now, so I'm not even entirely sure what's going on right now at the moment. We can check Patreon for that over there, and then get exclusive access to Wayward Sons, which is the supernatural TV show watchcast that Moon and Nimp are going through. That second season is chugging right along pretty happily over there, so you get exclusive access to that over there. And there's plenty more stuff over there as well. You check it all out, patreon.com/E1M1.
When's it about?
Alongside this episode coming out this week, we have our latest Game Club episode for A Short Hike. I wrote down on my sheet here, and what I'll remember. You can get that. You can probably start and finish that game while you're listening to this episode. It's
probably true.
Yeah, it's a pretty short. Just pause the show for the song that plays when you're like at the top of the mountain, and then you're kind of coming back down. That's a great. The whole soundtrack is great, but that song especially is really good. And then our next game is going to be Superliminal. If you want to play that alongside us, we're going to play that for the next month. Another game that you might already own on something like Game Pass or PS Plus or something like that. So go check that out and go see if you already own that. All of that out of the way, Moon. What have you been playing this past week?
I'm going to repeat a joke from last week and say nothing.
Nothing,
which
question mark.
Kind of true. Okay, so yeah, I barely touched the crew again. 10 days left. I need people to play with me.
Help Moon with the crew.
Yes, I have like 4 races I need to do like in a crew. That's like literally what I need. So that's all I care about anymore. I'll get those and I'll be done. I played a little bit of A Little to the Left, more just doing the dailies, hopping in, using that to do a daily and get gone. I also like the fact that, I forgot to mention this, however many weeks ago it was that I saw this, where I ran into the puzzle that you got stuck on, Boston, and I figured out what the solution was, which was there's breadcrumbs on the screen and you've got to move them out the way. Yeah,
To say that I was frustrated at that being the solution would be an understatement. Just grinding my teeth. Just... Yeah. It's fine. It'll be fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
Maybe.
Yes, a little bit. It's passable. But no, there is some really mind-bending tricks in that game. There's a clock one, which is shadow-based. Minor spoilers for A Little to the Left when you get to that one. You have to... The shadows are like trees in the foreground with light coming through it, and then you rotate the clock face to try and solve the puzzle. And the way you have to do it is the leaves will... Only 2 leaves will be on the clock face at one point, and that's where the hands need to be.
So it's like a puzzle from The Witness.
Yes, exactly. So it's been interesting, like going through that, like doing the dailies and that, and jumping in. It's I don't know. It's a good. Oh, I need to play something today, and I've got 4 minutes kind of game.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is unfortunately feels like the amount of time I have at times is like, yep, I got no time at all. So I guess I'm just gonna jump in and do this.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on We Rogue Like It, but I wrapped up Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. I got the full clear on that bad boy.
Nice.
Check out our season on that on We Rogue Like It. It's relatively short. It's pretty fun, so it's always good to jump in there and have some fun with that one.
Yeah, that's live on the public feed right now, the first episode of that. So if you want to play that along with us, you can.
Yes. I'll end with that one, I think. Yes, I'll end with that one. I played a whole bunch more Loop Hero.
Yes.
Hey, Boston.
Oh no.
I didn't know that you deposit 10% of your supplies at Camp Thing still keeps the cap on the available amount of supplies you can get each loop.
Oh, were you trying to run a long time and didn't? Really?
That
sucks.
A weird choice. Okay.
Yeah, so depending on the map that you go into, your supplies are capped out at a quantity of, I think it's 10, 20, and 30. is the whole supplies. So you get 10 branches becomes a chunk of wood. You are allowed at max to get, let's say at the middle difficulty, 20 of those each run. If you get the perk that deposits 10% of your supplies off at the camp when you hit the campfire, it doesn't reduce that cap. So it's not like it's not 20 on your person, it's 20 in the run. Because I did a run so long that the only supply I was getting at the end of it was like the metal from the weapons. It was the only thing I was getting.
And you're like, wait a minute, because I should be getting more?
I had already deposited the 10% of everything else over the course of the run. I was like, oh, now this ruins my whole plan of looping forever until I have enough stuff to upgrade my base.
I guess I understand the benefit of it, especially if you're doing something that's really difficult. And it's like, well, I'm probably going to die on this level, so at least I will just make sure I come back to the base with something, because you lose whatever percent of it is when you die that you can't take back to the farm. But that's weird. That's a weird choice.
It is. And like right now I'm trying to figure out exactly how I feel with regards to trying to figure out what character class and like quote unquote loadout I'm going to be
what's
using
your main?
for the third dungeon. Cuz like that is a hard map. Like it is
really hard,
impressively difficult. And I don't know, is Arsenal better for going in and then getting some longevity in there? Maybe do I want to take the suburbs in so I can like level up faster and get more perks easier to try and like wrap that side of it? I did get the achievement for having three resurrections on that map.
But then like if you bring the suburbs in and you level up too fast and you outlevel your gear, are you getting into a bad spot there? Because like the enemies level up based on how many loops you do. So it's I had a really hard time. I thought the third one was probably the hardest one out of all of them, because the first couple of loops around are really hard because the enemies hit like trucks and you just have nothing equipped. Like you're not prepared at all.
Yep. So I'm trying to solve that mystery at the moment.
What's your main class that you've been playing as?
I've been maining as the rogue while I've been trying to do the resource grind. But right now I'm currently on a loop in the third expedition with the necromancer, whatever his class is, the wizard.
I think it's necromancer. Yeah.
I'm currently doing with him, but I run into an issue with him where like the skeletons I produce are not fast enough or strong enough to take the aggro away from me, so I end up losing health real quick right at the start of that.
Yeah, with necromancer, my big tip is always try and stack plus skeleton gear, because at that point you just have a ton of skeletons, and there's some what is there's some thing where anytime enemies hit you, it spreads the damage to your skeletons. I don't remember what.
Yes, that is one of the most useful perks.
Yeah, that one's great.
There's also another one, which is whenever a skeleton dies, it heals like 5% of your HP back or something like that, which is a killer perk, no pun intended. Like, it's like trying to figure out exactly what I feel most comfortable with, but I figured out, like, so when I was playing as the warrior, I figured out my main stat I wanted to focus on was defense. When I was playing as the rogue, I figured out I wanted to build more towards evasion, because the rogue caps out at like 75% evasion. And if you can get 75% evasion, you're literally dodging 75% of all of the attacks that come in at you. So that gives you a lot better longevity.
Except for when you run a string of bad luck and you can't evade anything, it feels like.
You have no health.
But with the necromancer, I'm never sure what I want to go with. Like, obviously, plus skeletons is always good, but then do I want better skeleton summons quality, or do I want better skeleton summon levels? Like, which one do I want to go for? Do I need to focus on defense? Do I need to focus on like attack speed? Because if your attack speed is low, then you don't summon them as quickly when they die, and that can be a real like slowdown in the process for them. So it's like trying to figure out that wonderful balance of gear and everything else, but also at the same time building the map in such a way that benefits my character. Like, so I don't know if the suburbs help the necromancer. Would I have been better coming in there with sand dunes, which reduces the HP of the enemies? Like, trying to build all that without just immediately jumping to like a wiki or TA and being like, oh hey, what's the best loadout for level 3 on the thing, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
I did get I got a bunch of achievements today because I'd never messed around with like the alchemy or the crafting side of it. So like I crafted a few things. I did a whole bunch. So I did so much alchemy because I've been on such long loops that the thing that you get for discarding cards, like the resource that you get for discarding cards, I had like 152 of those, and none of the building or upgrades is used in my camp right now. I don't need that resource. I have like so many of them. So I just went into the alchemy one and just disassembled them all. Like I got down to like 50, and then built a bunch of steel and the bronze orb thing because I upgraded my campfire, so now I carry an additional potion. I upgraded the armory, the blacksmith, so now I get class specific gear when I start a loop rather than just the default soldier loop. So I don't know. I'm just running around right now. I'm on the resource grind because I'm trying to. I think the only way I can get upgrades now is by upgrading my camp. So if I upgrade my camp, I make myself stronger, and supply truck, whatever it is, where you give yourself a bench, and then you get bonuses when you go through the campfire. Like I'm trying to. Mess around with that one a little bit too. But it's honestly the reason why I'm enjoying playing this game right now is because once I get in a good loop, once I get a decent little run going, I let him do the loop, and then I figure out what I'm going to build and what I'm gonna do when he gets back to the campfire. And then I let him do a loop, and I figure out what I'm going to do when he gets back to it's. I play for 30 seconds. I hit X. He does the loop. I play for 30 seconds. He does the loop, and like that's literally what I've got the time or the mental capacity for at the moment. This moment in time. So yeah, Loop Hero is still great. Please don't pull up video of this one, Boston. But I quote unquote finished Bullet Beat, which is the indie game I was talking about the other day, the last episode. That thing constantly crashes, like
that's
constantly. And ironically enough, it seems like it is specifically a Series X problem. Apparently, it worked fine when it was originally released for the OG Xbox One, but they put an update in there or something that just has made it a crash factory since. I was like, I wonder if this is just a me problem. And then I looked into the Microsoft Store side of it. Like the past 120 reviews are all 1-star reviews saying, "Yo, this game don't stop crashing."
That's a bummer.
So I quite literally gritted my teeth and bore with it. Got everything I wanted to out of it, uninstalled it. I was like, note to self, maybe pay attention to this kind of thing in the future kind of situation.
Sure.
Because I never look at reviews, and if I would have done it on this one, it would have been kind of a bit of a lifesaver, but at the same time, you know me, when did I buy this game? Did I buy this game in 2014? When exactly did I purchase this game? I don't know.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The shifting sands of time have changed, and now that game is no longer recommendable. 2 more games to play. I'll finish on the one that I know I can transition over to Nimp with. Played Lethal Company on Friday. It was fun. I need a vibe check on the room.
Okay.
Because I like Lethal Company, and I'm starting to I did a new mod run essentially where I just wiped out all the mods I had and went in and started using or experimenting with different mods. So one of the mods I'm using now is a high vis HD mod, so you can choose your resolution and all that kind of stuff rather than being stuck with the default. I got one that completely gets rid of the chat on the left-hand side of the screen, so that fades away and vanishes if no one's talking, because that takes up
That's
a
nice.
lot of real estate space.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to mess around, and I'm experimenting with the flashlight mod, so the one where it has its own slot kind of thing.
Oh, so it's not part of the 4 main inventory slots?
Okay.
Yeah, with the duct tape
it goes
on.
off to
Right. That's right.
essentially, yes.
The Doom 3
So
duct tape.
instead of holding it, it literally sits on your shoulder, like it's mounted on your shoulder, like you're an armed soldier. It's really cool. And then it's like a single keystroke to activate it, so like you don't have to select it. You can literally, I think it's hit F to light the way, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm playing around with that because it feels like the lower difficulty, like quotas are easy now.
You've started to get good enough.
Yes, where like
Right.
we can hit, like we can do bad runs and make it to the quota is like 500-600. Then it starts to get questionable. But even so, like we are consistently hitting the point where like we can get up to like the quota is like $1,200. Like that's a lot, kind of. That's a big ask, and I figured, especially with not knowing if there's going to be 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, whatever the case may be. If we're running 3 people, that is a serious hindrance to the progress.
Yeah.
So I figured I'm just going to run with the flashlight mod, like that. We'll have that be the thing and see how it goes. It works pretty well.
Nice.
I liked it. The only problem is now I've gone into the mod hole.
Here we go.
And the mods I have now, I think I'm pretty happy with. Like, there's a lot of quality of life stuff in there. I'm still using the ship loot one, the everyone can hear the walkie-talkies one, the ones that are genuinely making a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and by the way, I downloaded a bunch of additional suits. And I'm specifically tailoring the suits I'm downloading to the people I play with and would like to play with. Okay. So, for example, I got a bunch of One Piece suits for Justin, who hasn't shown up because he's asleep since I put those suits in the game. For the record, by the way, Justin, this is for you. I put like the ODST suit in there. This is not a bribe or anything like that.
Uh-oh.
But I put the SCP suits in there just on the off chance that a certain somebody would like to join in at some point.
Nip's hearing the siren song of SCP now.
Dude, so I saw your thing go out Friday. And I also saw that on Steam right now, the game's on sale from $9.99 to like $7.69 or something like that.
I'm just saying, spring sale is on right now, dude.
Only reason I did not buy that was because I spent so much time trying to complete a daily for a different game Friday night that it took me all night. And by the time I finally got it, I was like, I'm going to bed. I am tired.
Jeez.
I'm just saying that if you want to buy it and install it, I have a chat which is called the Lethal Company.
They accidentally slip into those DMs, and
that's right.
You can get looped in for the new code hotness.
That's right.
I'm already working on my next series of mods. The reason I'm already working on the next series of mods is because I enjoy the game. I like the game. I think for people like Boston and Bill who are just started playing it, everything is still fresh and new.
Yeah.
You know, everything is still super interesting. And it would be the same for you, Nimp, if you decided to join us. No pressure. I did specifically get the SCP suits because I knew you would like them.
I'm sure I need another game to talk about on this podcast.
I'm just saying. Every Friday we play it, and every Friday you're more than welcome to join in. Now I'm looking at additional moons. Now I'm looking at the mods which are, here is a new interior layout. Here is a new... There is a mod that adds, I think, one new entire location, 11 new pieces of scrap, 1 new monster, and like 2 new like weapon items into the game. And I'm like, that's 1 mod. I could do all of that.
I love that you're
with
in
one
like the
mod.
Skyrim mod hole now of just like, what if I just like,
100%.
what if Skyrim
I'll-
had a whole new island?
I love that this game's already at the point where it's like, all right, the developer's busy doing things. We're just going to start throwing stuff at this game now.
Yep.
So the worst part is a lot of it is like is people who are clearly fans of other things that they want them in this.
Yeah.
Mm.
For example, one of the interior levels is an SCP lab that has been overrun.
That's fun.
And there's a different level, which is the back rooms. Just the back rooms.
Oh,
Let's
no.
just redo the interior to the back rooms,
No
shall
thanks.
we? Then you've got there's different ones, which is like there's an entirely new moon, and you have to go and gather from this abandoned church that's that's on this abandoned moon, and it's like, oh no, I really.
That sounds bad. There's bad stuff in there.
Is it the Church of Unitology?
It might be for all I know.
Well, now that you spoke it, now someone's gonna make that mod.
All praise the monolith.
That's right.
If someone puts a jammer needle in my eye sequence in this game, I'm done.
That's right.
100% out of the door.
Straight to jail.
Like, get away from me. Dead Space 2, one of the best games ever made, arguably.
Yep.
So I'm at the point now where I'm looking at these different like interiors and exteriors. There's one dude created like a bunker interior where it's like an old abandoned army bunker, and they've changed the loot to be appropriate for the theme of the actual interior.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
like,
That's cool.
Okay, so basically, once, maybe in a couple of weeks, I'm probably just going to start downloading, like, here is one additional map. We'll try it out at this additional map, or hopefully this additional interior. And if it goes great, and if it's fun to play, and it's not too broken, great, we can do that one.
Right.
If it's not, I can just as easily uninstall that mod and try a different location. And so I'm going to start attempting to cycle in at new locations and just see exactly what they like, because some of them look insane. Some of them look incredible.
Well, and
Like,
now that
cool.
you've played enough of it, you sort of need that variety of having, like there's enough moons in the game by default, but if you could have even more variety of, okay, I'm going to go to this place and let's see what it is, that keeps things a little bit more fresh.
Yeah, and so the key thing I'm trying to do as well is like maintain the spirit of the game, which is like that franticness of like suddenly you're alone and you don't know what's going on and you are absolutely horrified of everything, the single noise that you hear.
There's some skittering somewhere.
Yeah, or like the clips I posted where it's like chaos breaks out of nowhere because something just happens to randomly appear and everything is crazy, you know? I'm trying to maintain that, like, because I don't want the ship's minimap in our corners as like a soliton radar kind of thing. Like, no, that feels broken.
Yeah, it's not in the spirit, like you were saying.
Yeah, like I don't want I haven't put the increased stamina mods on because I think it's hilarious that the stamina is so terrible in the game.
It really is.
Especially the heavier you get, the more it affects you. Like that. Like I think that's a really good way to balance the system. So I'm trying to figure out how I can keep the spirit of the game, but also potentially give us new things to explore. Because I've literally played this every single Friday for almost 4 months now. And I'm still having a lot of fun with it. I genuinely am. Those moments when the chaotic things are breaking out is still great. But I also honestly feel like I'm #just too good for the base game now. The only thing that gives me the shivers anymore is the mansion level. And that's because psychological horror scares me a lot more than physical horror.
You played Resident Evil 1. You know what's going to go on in there.
Well, say, because I was just sitting here thinking with the radar thing that you were just talking about. I was like, man, that would be funny if you could program the radar to have false pings on it.
Oh, there you go.
So that way you don't know what's really around you.
So that's the hilarious thing about the creepy masked people, is if they catch you and someone is on the ship looking at your radar, you run around like a regular person. Like they don't know that you have been masked, with one exception, but I'm not going to spoil how you know how to figure that out. but they just show up as people on the radar. They just show up like regular old people. One of the mods does have a really interesting thing, which is something that you can buy from the store, which does give you the ship's radar, but it gives you the ship's radar in a big old tablet that you have to carry in your inventory. So that maybe that's a more balanced side of things.
Right.
Because it's not going to be there at your beck and call, every time you see it. Yeah, I don't know. I like the game a lot. I genuinely do. And it's like $10 currently on sale for however much less. Like,
yeah,
give it a shot. Like, I check out the LFG group. Like, I'm always posting in there on Fridays to try and loop more people in, because it's especially funny the more people are in there and the more chaotic it gets. When people start breaking into their own groups, like, if there's 3 of us, we tend to stick together. If there's 4 of us, you get 2 groups of 2. Then inevitably, one person in those groups dies.
Yep.
And that's when chaos breaks out.
Mhm.
If there was 6 of us, then there's even more opportunity of like 3 different groups, and something happens, and then before you know it, you're literally hearing screaming through the walls.
That's right.
Like, I don't know. Lethal Company is fun. I enjoy it. You should all go and play it. My final game this week is Helldivers, which you knew it was going to be because I specifically said it was a game to transition to this one.
I have also played that this week.
I only played about 10 minutes. Maybe not 10 minutes, maybe like an hour and a half or so. I had a rough week. You gentlemen are aware because we talked before we hit the record button about it. So me and Rob jumped on one night and we just played for a couple of hours. We are not high enough level for medium difficulty.
I discovered that this week as well.
Uh-huh.
You need to pay attention. Yeah.
It's hard. Very hard.
We were getting one shot by bugs, and I'm like, what is happening? We left, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be level 3 and have the game on medium difficulty. Because we had a frustrating night overall. That was one part of it, of like, okay, what am I missing? Like, what do I need to do to get better, to do more things? And then we were looking at it's not called the battle pass because it isn't really, but there's those upgrades.
Calling it the banner.
There's upgrades in like the battle pass thing, and I was like, oh, it's giving you more stamina, it's giving you more resist, it's giving you better weapons and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, so we just need to keep progressing through this to get the better stuff to increase the difficulty. Okay, now I get it.
Yep.
It's that, and it's also the things you can deploy. Because I'm assuming, did you try and do one of the week specific challenges by any chance, where you have to defend the place from the bugs?
So no, that's not. Well, it started out with my lesson this week was, hey, pay attention to the planet modifiers, because we started by doing missions on Heath, which is a snowy planet, and that was pretty fun. And I was like, all right, we've done like 3 missions or so. I'm ready to go check out somewhere else. This whole sector has been claimed except for Heath. I'm going to go to the next bug sector. We tried to do a mission in the automaton sector. Not even going to talk about it. That went about as well as you expect.
Especially on medium with no defense.
No, that was easy. And we just... That went poorly.
Bugs just... it's easier to wrap your head around bugs, and then once you feel comfortable on medium, then go check out bots. But
when they shoot back at you, not as good. So I picked a planet at random, and I said, "Oh, here's a planet." And we did a bunch of. It was like a rainy, swampy planet, and we did a mission to turn on. Activate 3 batteries to turn on some sort of anti-bug gas in the middle.
Yep.
We did a mission there.
That was the seasonal objective, the weekly objective, wherever it was.
So we did that. That was actually pretty fun. So we had fun, but that makes more sense now that I know that was the current objective, because all of the objectives on that planet were that.
With the same.
I was like, I'm not going to do another one of those for reasons that we'll get into in a minute. It was just Bill and I playing. So I was like, oh, let's go to this other planet next to it. We'll just try it. I didn't notice one of the modifiers was fire tornadoes, and we landed on this crispy hell that was this planet, and like I was like, oh, fire tornadoes, no big deal. Those tornadoes are huge, dude, and not only do they set you on fire, they set everything around them on fire for a really long time. That was rough.
So I kind of had the same thing because that's new to the update that went out this week.
Oh, okay.
And a couple other things that I'm going to bring up as well. But one of the daily objectives this week was to get 100 kills with the flamethrower.
Okay.
And I happened to random into a world with a bunch of other randos where, we had firestorms. And I didn't realize that. And all of a sudden, like, we're lighting up bugs everywhere. And then the world just catches on fire. And you don't get one tornado firestorm. There's like 6 of these things. And they're all over the place.
And you can see them going from, like, the atmosphere to the planet's surface, this one giant bright orange tornado.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and like I'm backing away from one, I'm walking into 2 others, I'm turning and running, I'm running into 3 others. It was incredible. I loved it so much. It was just pure absolute chaos from the moment we stepped on that planet until the moment we ran away crying and screaming, just like just no, never again. I'm thinking I could do that again. That was pretty fun.
And the best part about it is that all of these extra things also impact the enemy. So it's not just you that's caught up in the firestorm. All these bugs are getting roasted in front of you, and you're trying to find some place to hide. Yeah, it's just
it was a lot
I've
of fun.
Screwed so many times on a couple different situations, but
this game does one of my favorite things that I think they introduced it in Battlefield 1. Which is the multiplayer maps on Battlefield 1 had a mode which is like a campaign essentially, and it would be one multiplayer map in the middle, and then depending on the winner of that, the campaign would progress backwards or forwards. And
right.
Whoever won, you would have like a different effect in the next maps. But the thing I noticed this week with this game is like when you're on like trivial or easy, you get a mission. When you bump it up to medium, you get 2 missions. And it's one followed by the next one. Then I'm assuming it will turn into 3, 4, whatever.
Yeah.
Me and Rob did one of the bug missions where we closed down all the things. We actually succeeded on medium because I decided to spend a bunch of money on getting turrets, which are super useful on those defend the blank sections.
Yeah.
And then the second mission was an extermination mission, which is the smallest map I've seen in like multiplayer. It's long
really
time.
Good. Yeah.
And there was just nightmare fuel coming out of every single like rock corner around every like bend. I was like, oh, have you seen Starship Troopers? Do you remember that giant bug that spits like the acid that like melts dudes' arms? Yeah, here's one of those. Yeah. And when you turn around and run away, here is another one from the opposite direction. Have fun with that.
Yeah. Yeah, Bill spent his money to buy in-game money to buy a turret, and I spent mine to get the backpack that has like a refueling, like the little yellow
the supply backpack.
Yeah, the supply backpack. I thought that was gonna be pretty lame, but I actually liked it because not only can you, as the person who's wearing the backpack, use it, but you can also hand stuff to someone else, and it has like 2 clips and maybe like 1 stim on it. It's not a ton, but it's enough in the thick of things to just say like, here, stop moving. I handed this to you. We can finish the little bit of the end of this fight and then kind of call a big big supply thing
afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with what I do a lot of times when I notice someone has that back, anytime a resupply clears and I can call one down, I'll call it down so that way they can resupply their back. And it's usually while we're running between objectives where we're not having to re-up on anything because we're just going from point A to point B, and there's like small skirmishes here and there. But that way, when we're in the thick of it, we've at least got a supply that we can eventually call down, and we got this person running around that can supply us when we all just scatter to the wind because, we have 3 Bile Titans that showed up, and none of us have anything to take it down right now because we're all on cooldown.
Yeah, my frustration this week is an extension of the frustration we had last week, which is cross-platform friend requests don't work. So Bill and I were on PS5 and the Hannah was on PC, and we couldn't connect with each other because we were on separate platforms. Sending friend requests sent the request successfully, but they couldn't be accepted. And when you tried to do it, it just crashed the whole friends system.
Yeah.
I did some research. It looks like Arrowhead, the developers, know that that's an issue. It looks like they just were able to replicate it, so I'm sure a fix will be coming at some point.
I think the workaround that I used was if you are on the PC version, you can generate a friend code.
That's the part that's not working.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can see that a friend request got sent, and when you go to accept it, it just won't accept. Like, you hit the button, and it just doesn't do anything.
Well, and
so
I wonder if that got balked with the update, because when I first played with Nimp and Pharaoh, that is exactly how we got in the same game together.
Right,
yeah,
and
he just pulled up his code, and we just typed it in.
Yeah, it hasn't worked for the last 2 weeks, so it seems like something happened ever since we purchased the game. It was probably our fault. That has prevented that from working.
In their update.
Yeah. And I mean, we last week we chalked it up to the game just being too popular, of like, servers are probably overloaded, it's fine. Like, Feyror did some sort of dark magic to get us all into a match together, and that was fine. But this week it wasn't working. So that was kind of a bummer. But I mean, the stuff we did play, this game's great.
Still great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
A bunch of stuff to bring up. So
Go for
Tuesday night, I had forgotten to re-up my Game Pass, and I wasn't going to try to figure it all out then, so we just played Helldivers 2 Tuesday night. Feyror hates with a burning passion anyone that brings mortars in.
Okay.
And I can understand this, because like I've said in the beginning, turrets don't care if you are in between it and a bug or a robot. It's gonna shoot.
Yep.
Same thing with turrets, only they have wider AoEs. So if you're next to if you're next to a bug and it locks onto that bug and shoots a mortar, you're taking a hit.
Sorry,
you're
buddy.
Probably dying. Yeah.
Yep.
Same thing with mines. Mines don't get me as much, but Feyror was not in the mood for this one-person shenanigans, because we were doing the weekly mission where you had to charge up the battery silos, and then once you got all three of them charged up, you exfil.
We had a really rough time. We failed once or twice with charging the batteries, because the bugs try to attack them and they take damage. They take enough damage, you have to start the process over again. Doesn't really take that long. But it took us a couple tries to realize that the turret that Bill put down was trying to shoot bugs on the other side of the turret, and it was just, or the other side of the battery. It was just lighting the battery up, and just took its health from 100 to 0 immediately. And I was like, that's okay. Won't do that again. Biscuits.
Yeah, you just gotta plan a little bit, but sometimes there's no planning for it. Like, dumb things happen.
It's one of those things where it's like, of course the turret would damage it because it's damageable. So, okay, now we know. Now we can sort of plan for it.
Well, while we were doing this mission together, 2 other people jumped in, and they were in-game chat. We were in PlayStation chat, but not in-game for Helldivers.
Oh, like party chat?
Yeah, so we could hear them, and we could talk to each other. They could not hear us.
Sure.
And they're sitting here just talking all kinds of yang, where it's like, oh, this is just a hardcore mission. Well, time to put on the kitty gloves and this, that, and the other thing. And we were just like, all right, shut up. Like, one of them was a level 50, and I think the other one was like a 20-something. I don't remember the other one.
Is 50 the max?
Yes.
Okay.
That's when you become a Skull Admiral.
Oh, my.
I'm looking forward to having that rank. But anyway. So whatever. They were just kind of goofing off, and we didn't really pay any mind to it, because they were playing the objective until they weren't. We realized after a little bit that we were the only ones defending the silos, and they were just kind of off screwing around. And we finished, I think Feyror died once or twice before because of the mortar that one person put down. And you can destroy other people's mortar or turrets.
Oh, okay.
So if it's an issue...
Yes, you can.
you can shoot them yourselves and destroy
I
them.
didn't even know that. That's good to know.
Yep. So she died a couple of times, and the dude popped another mortar, and she just walked over there and shot it and destroyed it. And he didn't even notice because they were off doing whatever.
Right.
But then he ended up planting another one. She died again. I called her back in. I found the turret. I destroyed it.
Mhm.
And then those two start talking about, oh man, these maps are actually a pretty decent size for this level.
Mm.
And one of them was like way out in the blue,
Like
just,
sample hunting
exploring.
often somewhere. Yeah.
So we're sitting here trying to play the objective. We're on to the last one, and one of the guys pipes up and is like, hey, we got one more. You two better start doing something.
Oh, hell no.
And yeah, and Pharaoh lost it, kicked both of them right out of the match.
Yep, 100%.
Like, nope, my tolerance for idiots is at 0 today.
Yeah. No, and like that's totally justified. Like if you want to help with the objective and you're struggling, that's fine. But if you're just gonna like work on a college project where it's like, the smart kid will take care of it, I don't have to do anything, it's like, yeah, you get kicked.
Well,
Get out of
if
here.
they didn't say anything,
Right.
what we would have we already did
Yeah.
the other two. We were working like
but they
we
had
were
to have an
both
attitude
moving to
about
the
it.
third one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever, we completed it just fine, just the two of us.
Yeah. I mean, you did the whole thing with the two of you anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So the only thing that sucked about that mission is that when you're trying to leave, you get flooded with so many bugs trying to get out of there.
You really do.
And
it was very surprising.
Horrific.
Yeah.
But we played a couple more matches and everything was good. But throughout the week, because since this game's come out, I've put in like 70 hours apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem, but so with the different storms and stuff that they've added, we already talked about the fire tornadoes, but they've also added the meteor showers, which I know I briefly talked about before.
Oh no, I haven't seen those.
Yeah, it's really cool because everything will light up, and that's when you know the meteor shower is about to start. And it's the same thing. If it hits a bug or a robot, it's going to take them out just as well as it's going to take you out.
Okay.
But the way to tell if there's going to be one landing near you is that if your area lights up around you, the light will slowly start to shrink around where the impact's going to be at.
Oh, no.
So you can tell if you've got a spotlight specifically on your character, you better dive because that meteor is coming right where you're standing.
That's really good.
We ended up holing up in a bunker. When you find like those random bunkers that has the switches on the left and right that two people have to push, we ended up hiding in one of those when we were playing Tuesday night while a storm was going, a meteor storm, and we were just watching bugs getting killed left and right while we were just hiding in the bunker waiting for it to pass. So,
man.
The other thing is an ion storm, which I just recently found out about yesterday. Was my first experience with them. What happens is like everything gets an electrical charge, and you can't call in stratagems at all that entire time.
Oh, wow.
So if somebody dies, you cannot call in reinforcements until the storm passes. You can't call in resupplies, turrets, anything. It's what you got until the storm passes. Yeah. And I think the storm is only like a minute or two. Like they're not...
Okay.
They're long enough to make you panic and have to rethink on the fly.
Yeah. But
they're not long enough where it's like, nah, we're doing this mission on a different planet because I don't want to deal with this for the entire mission kind of thing. So... there's one more, I don't remember off the top of my head because I haven't come across it yet, but there is a fourth one.
Oh, okay.
That I am not looking forward to, and I don't want to spoil it.
Right.
Partially because I don't remember it. But anyway, currently right now, I am a level 37 Marshal in this game.
Oh, okay.
And I just, as of Friday, started playing level 7 difficulties, which are suicide missions.
Oh, no.
And suicide missions, out of the 6 or 7 that I've done so far, seem to just preload with Bile Titans and Chargers no matter where you land at the start of a mission.
Great.
Because the moment you touch down, it's just chaos. It's
just immediately.
Yeah, everyone scatters because you're trying to get away from everything so you can call down your support, weapons and stuff. And it just doesn't stop. The onslaught just keeps coming at you. And we got to a point in one where we were just standing on a hill and just killing everything that was coming at us. And after probably about a good solid 2 minutes of killing everything, it finally stopped.
Jeez.
Like, all right, cool. We can finally do the objective that's,
That's
right
right.
here that we've been trying to
Yeah, we can start
do.
the mission.
But I'm not kidding.
Jeez.
We had, in that time of fighting, there was about 7 chargers and one that was the mutated version, where it's got like the extra armor in the front.
Yeah.
That it makes it look like a Hercules beetle at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 3 Bile Titans, 2 of them at
Jeez.
once, and a third one showed up after we finally took down the other 2. And yeah, it's just us running around the objective, just trying to, have everything train on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone kind of splits off to add support to the one person that's running away. Like, we're shooting from the sides. We're trying to throw resupplies in the direction that they're running. That way they can run by and just grab stuff and keep running.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's all you can do at some points, where it's like,
Wild.
I need to breathe. I need to get out of here.
Right.
So, most of my loadouts so far, because I've been playing with a lot of different things, I've been bringing the shield unit with me, the backpack shield unit for the personal shield. That's helped with survivability quite a bit, but I don't think it's something that should be standard with anyone playing in the higher difficulties, because I've seen a lot of people not use it. They usually have like one of the rovers, it's usually the laser one right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the little drone that's flying with you that's shooting lasers at all the other enemies around you.
Right.
If you're always being swarmed, that helps. It's one more thing killing things.
Yeah, exactly.
I bring in the railgun, the orbital railgun call, to take out Bile Titans, because Chargers or Bile Titans, it's usually a one-shot kill. Bile Titans, if they're moving around quite a bit, it may not hit on mark, so then you have to shoot it in the head with a rocket, and usually that takes it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got the carpet bombing thing that I've been running with as well, because while Bile Titans are walking around, all the little things are skittering along its legs on the ground. So you got to take all those out too. So usually I just call in a cluster bomb and I take out like 40, 50 enemies at once.
Jeez.
Like, it's a lot. And then the last thing is the expendable rockets. It has a really low cooldown, and when you call them in, it drops down 2 of them at once, so you can grab one. And I am the one who will just, every time the cooldown comes, if we're not in the middle of a fight, I will just call another one down, because chances are we're going to be running back in that direction, and we're going to be running away from something. So having rockets scattered across the map isn't a horrific idea.
Right.
They also, in one of the recent updates, they made it so that the Chargers have like 10% less health on their head. So if you aim any rocket properly, you can take them out in one shot now.
Oh, nice.
And that has been very helpful. So that's why I've been calling those down. And the cooldown for calling down those rockets, it's only like 70 seconds, and it's unlimited use.
Jeez.
So
okay.
A lot of times what I'll do too, especially when we're about to when we're done and we're trying to leave, I'll just throw down a resupply, my rockets, and an additional shield generator backpack, and anyone can just grab whatever, because we all know we're going to be fighting hard to try to get out of here with the supplies that we have. The new weapon primary that I've been running around with is the SG-22 5SP Breaker Spray and Pray.
Jeez.
This is, I think, on like page 9 of the Warbond banner thing. It's basically the Breaker shotgun, but instead of it shooting slugs, it shoots birdshot, which means it just has a wider spread in front of you, which is very helpful when you have swarms of things running right at you. I just hold down the trigger, and it doesn't kill them fast, but it hits hard enough that it stuns a lot of the medium to smaller things.
Oh, okay.
And as long as I'm aiming towards the swarm, like, I'm hitting everything, and I'm slowing it down, and chances are I'm killing it after a couple shots.
Nice.
So that's kind of been my weapon of choice right now. But yeah, suicide missions, those suck.
Yeah, those sound intense.
They're not horrific, but I need a crew.
Yeah.
A specially trained crew of non-a-holes.
A dedicated team of precision drivers.
Yeah. And I can only...
We'll get there eventually.
This is only level 7. There's 2 more difficulty levels above this.
Yeah, 2 more nightmares. The circles of hell.
So I have I have the I believe the last sample, the purple one, is called super samples. I believe is what they're called, and I have 3 of those now. And it looks like at least on difficulty 7, there are only 3 on the map.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who found them the first time and how I got them, but ever since then, I have never seen these on the map. I don't
Of
even know
course.
where we're supposed to find them. I don't know what they look like. And usually, as long as you're within a couple of feet, usually the icon pops up for
Yeah.
like the sample, or if it's ammo or whatever. That way you can see that something is there. I have not seen this icon pop up anywhere when I found other samples normally.
Jeez.
So luckily, a lot of the in-ship upgrades, you only need like 5 or 10 to complete those of those super samples. So you don't need a lot. But if we're having this much difficulty finding them, it's probably going to take a while.
Yeah.
So, but I'm close to leveling up something. But that's all I'm down to for the ship. I've bought everything except for whatever needs super samples now. So, and I have one more thing to buy on page 9 of the free war bond before I'm on the final page of that, and then I can start working on the paid war bond.
Yeah, like one of the 2 that are out.
Yeah, which I did not pay for because you find super credits in the game, and that's what you use to buy the war bonds. So I have 2,000 super credits right now. Okay, I take that back. I did technically pay for that premium one because I gave them the extra $20 for the super citizenship thing, which does give that to you.
Sure.
So, but I have 2,000 now. I could have bought that one and this new one that just came out on the 14th.
Yeah, because I think each one is just 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just great. I love this game. This
game's
is kind
real
of
good.
I log in and I do my daily. Like today, I believe it was kill 2 Bile Titans, and guess what? I did 1 suicide mission, and they were both sitting there waiting for me to deploy.
There you go.
They were gift wrapped and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Helldivers. It can be very infuriating with randos and sometimes yourself, but just all kinds of dumb stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've been blown up and thrown across the map only to stand up and then have something just like huff on me and die.
A bug sneezes on you.
Yeah.
Heroes don't lose is that achievement, and I love it.
Yeah.
So my next game, assuming you guys are all done talking about Helldivers.
All good.
All right, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Okay. Again, no spoilers.
Correct. This is my last game. Austin, have you played? I'm assuming you have.
I'm on chapter 8. What chapter are you
I think
on?
you might be further than I am.
I
just made it to Del Sol. Is that 7?
That's chapter
6 or 7?
That's chapter 6.
Okay, yeah.
It's chapters. So I played a lot of this week because I've been enjoying Rebirth up to so far, but something about it this week really clicked with me. I think because of how fun chapter 5 was. I was like, oh, so this game is just as goofy as the original game was. We're still doing that switch between, all right, here's this high drama stuff, and then whoops, here's some goofy stuff, and we just finished a big boss battle, and now Red 13 and Barrett are fighting, but it's all kind of funny. So I think that's been propelling me further through this.
All right, so for Junon, I completely skipped everything with Queen's Blood and Junon. Didn't want to do anything with it. I figured I'll just come back to it later because it's always going to be there.
I did all of that stuff because I have a killer deck right now that I am just those twins or whatever. I think in Junon, one shot both of them. Just bam bam took care of it. It was real good.
I may go back after a little bit, but anyway.
Yeah.
I just wanted to start doing everything else, so I unlocked everything else to do in the Fields of Junon. I completed all of the side quests except for one. I missed one, which is the frog one, because I got really swept up in the moment of going to Upper Junon and didn't realize that the other frog quest, the last quest that I had to do, was somewhere in that area. Like they had the high wind right there, so of course I had to walk around and look at it.
So like, I don't remember what other game that we were talking about that. I think it was the Final Fantasy VII Remake. No, it was. There's a moment in Final Fantasy VII Remake when you start it, and that gives you camera control, and you're in like, I think you're in Sector 7 slums, and you can look up and see the plate, the bottom
like
of the Midgar plate. And there's a moment that I had where I was just like, okay, like, you did it, and I'm in this world in 3D for real for kind of the first time. Getting to Upper Junon and seeing the sister ray massively huge right above your head. I'm just like, I had that moment again of just like, man, yeah, like I'm in Upper Junon now, and they did the whole thing. It looks incredible.
This whole game, every time I go into a new area, it's like when back in the PS2 days when they used to put like those little hidden museum pieces for you to find where you could walk around and look at. This like is what Ratchet this whole game has just been for me. Yeah. Yep. Where it's like, yep, there's Sister Ray, and inside one of the shops you could buy a scale or like a scale model of Sister Ray.
It's really good.
Yeah, I saw the High Wind and had to walk around that thing in its full 3D glory and see how massive that thing is.
It's and then way bigger than I was expecting.
Yeah, then you see like all the dumb little jet planes that weren't in the original, but they're like machine punk, where it's like they have all these extra turbines and pipes and stuff. And you're like, there's no way that's flying in real life, but that looks sweet.
It's really cool.
With this massive cannon sticking out of the front of it. And then there was like the tanks and like the trucks and stuff that I'm just walking around checking out and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we get to the actual part of you having to practice for the parade. And then you do really well. And you become the captain for Midgar 7th. And then you have to find the rest of Midgar 7th Infantry. And I was telling my son this because he was sleeping when I was doing all of this. You will find them randomly throughout Upper Junon in shops and stuff. So you have to go through, you have to talk to them, and then you tell them, all right, R&R's over, get out there, we're going to start this up.
Yep.
Every time you leave a shop, however many of them you have will line up in formation and start to follow you.
These little Pikmin following you around?
Yes. And I found all 10 of them. I don't know if you did.
I did too.
But I found all 10 of them. So I have a squad Ren.
It's like 50 dudes chasing you around.
Yes. And every time you walk out of the shop, they're like, I hope you found what you were looking for, Captain.
Yep.
And, you know, all these other dumb things that they'll just yell out. It's like, oh, today's looking really great, Captain.
Yeah,
you know,
happy to be here, Captain.
Yeah. And so you finally go through and you do the whole parade thing. I didn't think it was difficult, but I was having an issue of I wanted to watch it and I didn't want to do like the kind of QTE stuff that was in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I kept getting distracted and I redid the parade like 3 times. Just so that I was like, I can get a perfect on this, but I just want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
And so I got through the whole thing, ran it a couple more times. I because you can reposition your squads and stuff, so that way the formations are more difficult or easier, however you want to do it. I also like how all the formations are named after summons again.
Yep.
So it's like you're doing the Ifrit, you know, or the Shiva, you know, formation or whatever. It's like, oh my God, you guys are so stupid. We then get to story point that I'm not going to talk about. However, there is a shift, and then you are on a ship. And again, this is part of the shift, but you are now going to Costa del Sol.
Right.
And when I realized that the shift, was like, okay, I'm kind of curious on how they're doing this part. And then you go through it all, and you know what? That was okay. That was fine. That was interesting.
I thought Chapter 5 was really well done. It definitely is a bit of a departure from the original, but I think, and I've run into some other departures from the original, but so far I think all of them have been really well done to kind of flesh out the characters a little bit more and kind of make some of these chapters that in the original were a little bit less exciting because the trip from Junon to Costa del Sol at the original was just, it was really nothing, and now it's something at least a little bit exciting.
But I like how there's a bit of tension every time these shifts happen.
Yeah.
Because anyone who's played the originals, you'll know, okay, something is different.
Yep.
And then the tension kind of pops up where it's like, okay, what's going to happen now?
I'm always like squinty-eyed looking at the game, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Barrett still has his marshmallow sailor suit, and he looks really, really good in it.
He really loves how he looks in it, and that's like my favorite. So one of the notes I wrote this week is, I wasn't really crazy about Barrett in Remake. Barrett's always been a difficult character. As a lot of his has just been like carrying around a soapbox and tossing it down and talking about the planet. And she's dying, Cloud. But so much of how they portray his character in Rebirth helps him out so much that I like him so much more. And you get, starting in like the chapter 5, chapter 6 stuff, you get way more one-on-one time with just him and Cloud, where Barrett kind of drops his persona a lot and kind of talks to Cloud, and his how do I talk about this without spoiling it? Barrett feels an affection for a certain thing in this game that he feels very protective of. And that's really interesting as an extension of, because in the original game, he's protective of Marlene, and he's just, I'm here to save Marlene. But the change here in the game that he has this protective nature against something else, I think helps his character out way more, and it makes him way more endearing. And I think that helps a ton.
It also helps, too, if you complete the Sammy quest, which is the dog quest in Junon, and you get to listen to Cloud and Barrett go back and forth, and Barrett loses his stuff about being a parent. Not loses it in a bad way, but did you do that quest?
Running the dog? I've got a...
Oh, okay.
I went through to do the... I wanted to do all of the quests in one area, so I did the Grasslands ones, because I stumbled on the... I don't want to spoil who it's for. It's a returning group of characters from Remake, but the Grasslands has like a 4 or 5 part side quest chain.
Yep.
Where you're kind of chasing these people, and I had the most like pointing at the screen meme moment at the end of that quest of like that sort of thing. So the finishing that quest had a really good payoff, which means I need to finish those quests in every area now.
Yes. Because I finished that quest in Junon, and the same thing happened where it's like, no, I was right. It really is. And it's really awesome.
I gotta do that. It's one of my favorite Final Fantasy things. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I don't care what the reward is. I need to go do this whole thing. So by the time I got to Junon, I felt like I was hitting a good rhythm. So Junon, there's like, you can go back out and do all these quests. And I was like, no, like I want to keep the story going, because I think I know what the next thing is, and I want to see that. And now I know what the thing is after that. Like you sort of see the tent poles of the original game, and you're like, oh, well, I just did that. So this next thing has to come next, and this next thing so I kind of want to see where all that stuff is going. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to ruin or talk about the quest then.
I'll definitely. All of those are really good, so I definitely want to go back and do all of those.
But there is a lot of talking between Cloud and Barrett.
That's good
on that specific quest, and it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But then, back on Shinra 8, the boat.
Yep.
You have the option to play a Queen's Blood tournament. And it's not difficult, but they do also tell you up front, join this, play this, but if you don't want to do this, just go talk to this other person, story will continue.
I really appreciated that they did that, because I love Queen's Blood, and I was very excited to play a bunch of it, but I appreciated that they were like, you don't have to. Like, you don't want to, or you don't like it, just Kick
Yes.
rocks. Get out of it.
And I'm glad that I did play it to completion because I have so many screenshots of an individual now on my PS5.
The end of that Queen's Blood quest chain is so good, and I want people to see it. Even if you don't like Queen's Blood, go get a deck from online that will help you win it or something, because the payoff for that thing, I thought the payoff was going to be, this is a slight spoiler, the vendor that takes you from one tier to the other gets more Cloud fan merch on him between every tier.
Other fun thing. Yes.
Like, that was really good. I thought that was going to be the payoff, but the actual payoff is really good. And I'm not going to talk about it at all, but you have to see it.
I have so many pictures of this game
Yep,
on
I
my
do
PlayStation that I'm going to have to start moving this to a thumb drive.
Yep.
Bringing back to, the Highwind. I have so many pictures of that dumb thing now.
Yep.
And some of the shops in Junon where they have displays and stuff. It's great. But anyway, so you complete that, and then things happen. You get to Costa del Sol, which is, in it of itself, very fantastic. The music is still there, and I really love the music for this
really
area.
Yeah.
You automatically get introduced to the wheelies, which is just a segue for this game. And I noticed that there was a tracker as I was writing for how many meters you've ridden this thing. I'm like, oh, I bet you this is going to turn into a thing. And sure enough, you eventually find one of the shopkeepers that's like, hey, you ride it for this many meters, you unlock prizes. I'm like, all right, cool. So for the next, I think it only took like 10, 15 minutes to get to like 4,000 meters to knock out everything.
Loops.
Yep, that's all I did. Loops all the way around.
And like, 4,000 meters? I can do that.
Well, because I was doing the whole thing. I was like, all right, well, I got to explore the town anyway. So I'll just loop around, check out the map and all the shops and stuff. But every time I got to a shop person, I would get off the wheelie and then talk to them and then get back on. But then I realized if I scoot close enough, I don't have to get off.
Ah, good tip.
So I can just keep going. Just stupid. But anyway, so I completed that. I then found Johnny, or Johnny found me.
Yes.
I am now in a hotel that only Red 13 currently loves. And I now have Cloud's Kingdom Hearts swimsuit edition.
Yep.
Where he has all the zippers and belts and.
Yeah. Have you finished that chapter?
No. I unlocked his bathing suits, and my next objective is to go to the beach now, the beach proper.
So this is the chapter that I probably have the biggest problem with, because I think the payoff is really good, and I think like in the original game, you get some good character development, but I think it's about twice as long. It's not nearly as bad as Wall Market was in Remake, where you're kind of all right, I was done with this area 3 hours ago. Like, we really need to get out of here. Not as bad as that, but there's a little bit of like, oh, I did this thing. Oh, and now I have to do way more things. It's all good, and I'm kind of having fun, but it to me was kind of hampering the flow of the game. It was sort of like the rhythm of the game was slowing down a little bit. So I'm curious to hear what you think after you finish that chapter.
Yeah, because the only other thing that I did side quest wise was I got both of the
whatever tickets
costume tickets or whatever. Yeah. I did the shooting range with Barrett, which was really funny, and I did the Queen's Blood.
Those puzzles.
The puzzles.
Yeah, that was
where
fun.
You're not actually playing a game. They have the board preset with cards and pawns, so you're not actually playing, and you have all like 3 or 4 cards at the max that they pre-give you, and you have to figure out how to win this with how the board's already set up.
That was pretty clever. I thought that was cool.
It was fun until I got into the advanced stuff.
That stuff is not messing around.
Well, and then I was like, I'm just going to look up a guide, because you have to very specifically put these cards down in a very specific pattern. Like, there's only one way. There's not multiple ways of doing this. Yeah. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to look up what it is.
There was one I had to look up because I spent like 15 minutes on it. I was like, I don't think I understand what I'm supposed to do here. And I was like, one card placement away from getting it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, if I had just done the card placement correctly and finished it, then my numbers would have actually been higher than the other ones. I just needed to finish it instead of quitting
That was one that I had as well, where I didn't realize one of the cards for one of the puzzles, which I did end up figuring out without a guide. It says that it increases if you take a row, it increases, that point by 3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when I put the card down, it didn't increase it over what the value of that card was already.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I must have screwed this up, and I restarted.
That's the same thing I did. Yep.
Yeah, but then I played it again. I'm like, no, it has to be this way. What am I doing wrong? And so I finally let it play it out. And at the end, it finally tallied up that 3.
Yeah, that was
and then
confusing.
And then I won out by 1. But so whatever. But still enjoyable. I think I'm gonna bring back playing all the extra stuff. Like I'm still gonna do the map stuff, because that seems to be beneficial. But like all the mini games and stuff like that, I may dabble in a couple of them if the items look really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably gonna bring back on that because we're gonna hit Golden Saucer, and that's all that is. It's just games, and I don't want to get burnt out before I hit that.
Thankfully, in Costa del Sol, if you're halfway competent in all of those mini games, you can get them first try. Like the totals are pretty manageable.
The rifle game, I just kept slamming R2 to keep firing, even if I wasn't aiming at a thing. Yeah. It was like I'll just sit there and trace around it and hit it eventually, and you got it. But yeah, it's still fun. The only other complaint that I have to bring to the table is I do not like the dynamic lighting in this game at all.
It is really aggressive. I'm having a lot of trouble with it. So what Nimp is talking about is you're coming from a big, bright outside area going into a dark building, and you're like halfway through the building until it drops the brightness of the outside and brightens up the inside. It's way too aggressive.
And it's different. Like I noticed it mostly with Lower Junon, where you walk in and it's like you have to take several steps because everything's like pitch dark and you can't see anything. You have to take several steps in before the light finally evens out and you can see normally. But I noticed it a couple times in Del Sol because it's supposed to be like this game's version of Hawaii, so it's bright and cheery, and then you walk inside and it's super dark because the transition it's like you're hitting a wall.
Yeah, it's very odd
that you have to walk through, and it's really weird, and it sucks a lot of the time. What was it? Oh, and then one tip of the day that I had that I found out with the combat simulator.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't been keeping up with like the biology ones where you have to scan certain enemies from certain areas or whatever, I'm sorry, not certain enemies. You have to scan a certain number of enemies from like the grasslands. Say like you have to scan 10 of them. You can sit there and scan the same one 10 times and it counts.
Oh, okay. That's good.
But I was in Junon when I realized, these 2 that have been locked that I thought was locked because of story progression are locked because I didn't scan enemies. And I'm at a point in Junon where I can't fast travel.
Yeah.
And I had one for the grasslands and one for Junon. I was like, well, wait a minute. This combat simulator is for Junon. It has Junon enemies. Let me see if I scan those, if that counts. And it does.
Nice.
And that's how I got the completion for beating a certain amount of enemies in that region as well.
Oh, that's good. Same
thing for the grasslands. While I was in Upper Junon, I was able to complete the grassland assessment one while there.
That's clever.
So you do not have to go back to the grasslands or whatever area that you missed, beating however many number or scanning however many number. Just go into the combat simulator, go to whatever area that you need to do that for, and just sit there and spam asset or assess or whatever.
Right. I've got the assess earrings on now, so I don't even have to use the materia slot.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm just leveling it up because, well, no, is that one max already?
Yeah, it's max, so it assesses all enemies at once, and like it's just a piece of gear. Like all the kind of like earrings and stuff, like that slot is largely useless, so that's a perfect thing
even the
to use.
Wristbands or the bangles and stuff, like they only seem to go up like 1 or 2 every once in a while. You'll find something where it's like plus 14.
But
and same thing with the weapons. I was actually complaining about this too when I was in Junon. Cloud only has 2 weapons for me, right? Well, now I have 3.
Yeah, I
since
just
going
got
through
my
June
4th
on.
one.
Tifa only has 3. Aerith had like 4.
Yep.
Barrett still only has 2, and I'm hoping once I complete the stuff with Costa del Sol, he'll get the hook arm because that was his weapon on the original.
That's right.
And you do get that. He's already wearing it every time he gets into his sailor suit,
It's really
which is
good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then Red, I only have like 3.
Yeah.
And I find it really weird because in Remake, it felt like we were getting, like, once I started getting bored of a weapon, it felt like right then and there we would get another 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's true.
And now it feels like they're really spreading it out for some reason, which is fine, but I'm kind of like, I need more materia slots.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
Yeah, I've had, like, I think for Cloud, I think he could only have like 6 for like the longest time, 5 or 6 for the longest time.
Something like that, yeah.
And I'm like, that's not the max that you could do with these characters.
I need more, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I'm still just having fun putzing around, staring at stuff. I'm hoping, because in the original you could buy a house in Costa del Sol.
Oh, right, right.
And the only reason I'm bringing this up is throughout this game so far, there have been items that I've been picking up that seem like little statuettes that you can't really view in your inventory.
Yeah,
and
they're
it
like
kind of
little
seems like
tchotchkes and signs and stuff. Yeah.
And it kind of seems like something you would hang up or put on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah. 100%.
And I am wondering, this is just my own thoughts. I don't have anything to back this up. The game hasn't said anything. I am wondering if the hotel that only Red 13 likes is something that we invest into.
Right.
You know? So, or maybe we get something down the road. I don't know. Maybe we get the Highwind and we get our own room in there.
Right.
Man, that would be badass flying that thing.
That would be pretty cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We better be able to walk inside the whole thing.
I hope so. Yeah.
I'm gonna take so many pictures. I'm just like an idiot tourist in this game.
Yeah,
it's just been great.
Hitting the share button. Click. Yeah.
And then realizing that I can do the photo mode and take like people out of the thing that I'm trying to take pictures of.
Me alone on the Highwind. Click.
Yep.
My only quick notes here. I just have 2 notes here. I'm in Gold Saucer now, where I'm at in the story. That stuff is really good. A lot of changes to that whole kind of storyline. I'm really enjoying a lot of it so far. Just ran into Kate Sith. I know I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. That's just how the game pronounces it. I know it's Cat She. Sorry.
Nope,
his voice actor, 100% perfect. Just like the perfect level of Scottish for that character. It's chef's kiss. Cannot find any faults in it at all.
The difference between that character for voices is fantastic so far. I haven't heard him yet, but I've heard
it's really good.
Other things.
Yeah, so far it's really good. So, this is really the only game I want to play right now. I'm sort of playing 2 games that I'm really in love with at the moment, and Rebirth is really great. Not surprising coming off of how unexpectedly good Remake was, but I'm enjoying it a whole lot. There's a whole bunch of other stuff I can't talk about that is all kind of the other stuff that hasn't come together yet. But Rebirth is really great. I can't wait to keep playing it. 2 thumbs up. Love it.
I'm still not 100% with Remake or Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. I'm still enjoying these. So, and that's kind of the other thing. I do want to keep playing it, but I'm slowing my pace because I don't want to burn out. But I'm trying to keep the tempo high so I don't get spoiled on something.
Exactly.
Which is funny to say for 24-year-old game that's been remade.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but yeah, that's all I've been playing this week.
All right. My first game up here. Whatever am I? Oh yeah. I wanted to put a quick plug out here for Venba. We played this on Game Club last year, and there is a DLC that just came out for it. It's called the Recipe and Radio DLC, if I remember correctly. I didn't really know what to expect out of this, because I feel like they were promoting it quite a bit, but maybe I missed kind of the the specifics of it. This isn't new story or new levels or anything. What they did is on the main menu in the game, where you can kind of like start a new run or pick chapters and look at all that stuff. Over on the right-hand side of the screen, they've added a radio where you can listen to all the really great songs in the game. You can just pick them from a list. And then on the left-hand side of the menu, they added a recipe book. And what's really cool is they've taken all of the recipes in the game. It's like 13, 14, something like that. I don't remember. And they just wrote the recipe for them. And it's not the recipe in-game where it's like shorthand. It's like, do this and do that. Yeah, each one has like 3 or 4 or 5 pages that is the exact recipe about how to make the actual dish, and all the steps and all the ingredients and every little thing. And all of that is in the game. So I think that's incredible. I'm really glad they did that. It's free DLC, so if you own Venba or you have it on, I think it came out on Game Pass if I remember. It's just a free patch. You can just go check that out, and it's really good. I really highly recommend. If you haven't played the game, you really should, and then go. It's only 2 or 3 hours long. It's a pretty short thing. So go play that, and then you can learn how to cook some of the incredible looking dishes that are in the game. So go check that out. Next up, I started Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. We, like Moon mentioned earlier, we have been playing Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. Which is the sequel to Commits Tax Evasion. There's a lot more in Robs a Bank that relies on your knowledge of the first game for jokes and references and whatnot that I didn't understand. And I saw that this game is on sale on PS5 for like $5.50. So I said, all right, time for me to pick up this game. I've played maybe 30 minutes of it so far because I just picked it up. I just defeated a pig boss for its fertilizer to bring it back to the mayor. But I've been giggling to myself throughout this game that literally everything that Turnip Boy runs into, he shreds. And that's your only option. It's just read the thing or rip it up. So literally everything he gets his hands on, he's ripping up. And for some reason, that just really tickles me. That's just like, oh, here's an autograph, rip it up. Here's the deed.
He's a vigilante.
Yep. Here's the deed to a building.
Now you get
rip
the laminated joke.
The laminated joke from Robs a Bank is really good now. It's really 2 thumbs up. So this is a game that, just like Robs a Bank, I'll probably just putter my way through over the course of the next couple of weeks, and sit down at one point and kind of finish it. But
it does. When I brought it up when I first played it, it does have a roguelike mode at the end of this game.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That involves a train.
Okay,
so
that's cool. Interesting.
Yep.
So played a little bit of that. We already talked about Helldivers 2. Okay, so my last game here is Unicorn Overlord, which, again, is an incredibly fun pairing of words. I love saying that as often as I can.
That also do not do the genre justice, one might say.
Right. We talked about this quite a bit recently because it's a genre of game we haven't really seen in a while. I think Moon described it really well, where when you're in battles, it's very much like Advance Wars, where you have 2 groups of enemies fighting against each other, and they fight automatically, and it's up to you to set up the party composition for that little group of units correctly to kind of rock, paper, scissors your way against the enemy. The difference here, and where the ogre battle references come from, is that your units and the enemy units can move more than once in an encounter. So there are multiple actions a unit can do in one battle, which I think is really interesting. They have 2 types of attacks. They have active abilities and then passive abilities. So passive abilities are going to kick in like whenever a battle starts or whenever someone attacks another party member. So it's like, your healer might have a passive ability for when one of your other party members gets hit, she automatically heals that party member. But they can maybe only do it once or twice a battle. So you can't just kind of mow your way through a battle with just this one person healing everybody back to back. Like the rogue can, at the beginning of battle, can steal a passive turn from an enemy outright. And then your active abilities are really just go hit this enemy, put your shield up for defense, cover this enemy, things like that. And where that becomes really interesting is in your party composition, where you're trying to set up, you have 2 rows of 3 in each one of your sort of units. So a lot of it is you're setting up your front party members to either be high evasion units or high defense units. And then your rear units are your healers, your ranged attacks, your magic users, your damage dealers, stuff like that. So your front units are protecting, and your back units are primarily doing your damage. And it's interesting to play this because you're, unlike something like XCOM or Advance Wars or like that, you don't have a grid. You're just moving your enemy units free form around the battlefield. And it's a lot of like, pick this specific unit and make your way towards it, and then kind of fight as you're going towards there. There's a lot of cool quality of life in the actual battle. Like if you know you're going to win this battle outright, you can just hit the start button and it just skips it. And it just shows like, oh, you knocked out a bunch of enemies, you took 5 damage, we're done. The game does give you the good tip, though, of like, you should probably still fight a bunch of battles, though, because if you lose a battle and you skip it, you don't really understand why you lost it, which is a good tip. And when you're in a battle, you just hold R2 and it goes at double speed, which is really great. And a lot of it so far has been pretty straightforward. You have your own garrison that your party's members spawn from that you need to defend. If that garrison gets captured by the enemy, you lose outright. But if you capture the enemy's garrison, you win the match outright. There's also a time limit that seems incredibly generous for any of these battles. For most of these battles, I'm not even hitting the like halfway point, and I'm really moving pretty slowly in these fights. And so far it's great. I've played maybe about 2 or 3 hours, I think. So I'm through the tutorial and intro stuff, and I'm at the part now where I'm kind of surprised, because once you get the intro tutorial stuff done, it kind of turns you loose on this continent and just says, all right, here's a town, here's some enemy fights, and you are exploring by yourself on the continent itself. So it's not just like pick a node, go do this battle, pick the next node to do the battle. You're doing side quests around the map. You're like digging materials up around to help out towns. You're buying stuff. You're running into random battles that are happening. So there's plenty of stuff to do in the map itself, rather than just fight after fight after fight, which I'm kind of surprised about, pleasantly surprised about, but I thought it was cool that it's not just, well, here's the next story mission, let's go. So there's actually some cool stuff to do there. And so far, I think it's not really a negative, but it's maybe the thing that I'm kind of surprised about is the story so far has been pretty standard. It's a lot of like, I lost my kingdom, let's go get it back. We have these scrappy forces that are, I'm getting everybody together. Let's get the army together to take back our kingdom. And a lot of the writing has been really good. And if I was to guess, it's probably another 8.4 localization joint. The voice acting, of course, because it's an Atlas Vanillaware game, voice acting has been incredible. But a lot of it has sort of been like, yeah, okay. This is all fairly standard fare here storyline wise.
Yeah.
So not too much to talk about this so far yet, because I feel like I've only scratched the surface on the battle system, and I can now only just I've become renowned enough excuse me, in the first area that I can now hire enemy units, and now I can expand how many units can be in one of the larger units. So before it was just like, here you can only have 2 people. Now I can upgrade to 3 and 4 and 5.
Do they have like named units, or are they all just
so
whatever?
there are
Soldier
named
Boy
units
1.
you start with. Your main character is a unit. The Joseph, who's kind of his like his military instructor, is another unit, and you're sort of picking them up as you go and as you do side quests. It's like, oh, you did this. I just did this side quest for a church, and I got a healer, and she's like a main character unit that you just you got. But when you go to hire units, you name them, you change like the colors of their outfit. You can actually change. The one thing I was surprised about, you change how their stats increase. So you can say, like, I want the stats to raise up kind of all around. I want them to focus on healing, defense, attack, that sort of stuff, which I was kind of surprised about. So you can actually have a unit that maybe is a healer but isn't inherently focused on just healing. So I thought that was neat. So far, it seems really good. I played it for a bunch this morning and kind of didn't realize that I had lost so much time while I was playing it, which is pretty good, but also pretty dangerous for a game like this. So I'm excited to play more of it. And unlike Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's very M rating, this is a T rating, and like kind of a soft T rating. There's not really... Like, when you slash enemies in battle, there's not even... It's like a big kind of like red burst. It doesn't even really look that bloody, so it's pretty friendly so far. But yeah, Unicorn Overlord, I'll be talking about it over the next couple of weeks. I'm just scratching the surface here, and I'm excited to play it. It's cool. And of course it looks gorgeous. Like, the soundtrack's
it looks
great.
really good.
Yeah, like it's a vanillaware game, so it looks really good. Haven't run in any food in the game yet. I'm sure all that stuff's going to look really great too. But so far, so good.
Was this the game that they were talking that they did straight FMVs for the food?
No, that's Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, okay.
Because people were like, they were showing Dragon's Dogma 2 to press, and people were like, wow, like, you guys, what is with this food? Like, what food generation tech have you been? And they were being coy about it. We're like, that's Unreal Engine 5, it's just really great. And then one of the producers was like, no, dude, we just cooked some steaks. Like, we expensed a bunch of fancy steaks and we shot them and then we ate them. Like, wouldn't you do that for a game? It's like, you know what? You got a good point there. Why not treat yourself?
Capcom's doing really good right now, so.
That's right. You can afford those nice steaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I'm playing this week. Let's take a break.
Woo.
All right, I need to make sure that I've got all my my tabs correct here, with all the 45 games coming out this week.
I was gonna say.
What the hell, guys? Sheesh.
Everyone just give it a break.
I'm playing 2 huge JRPGs at the same time right now. Cut me some slack.
And I've got at least one more from last year sitting back there that I have yet to touch.
I'm like trying not even to look at Persona 3 Reload. I'm not even...
Oh, I didn't even... That's why I kind of pushed my son into that. I'm like, hey, you want to play an M-rated game? Check it out.
That's right. Play with the evokers. Let me close these blinds a little bit. All right.
That's the only reason I'm not playing Unicorn Overlord right now. It's like,
yeah.
I've already got too much, and there's no point in buying it.
I finished Infinite Wealth, and I was like, all right, now I can start another... I'll play 2 JRPGs at the same time. So... I know I'm not going for the platinum and Rebirth. That's for sure.
Yeah, no.
Sheesh. Not playing that thing on hard. No thanks.
Although it seems like it may be a little easier. Only because they gave you those abilities that are elementals.
Right.
So you're not screwed on that. But still, no.
Right.
That's part of the reason why I'm disliking this game, because the leveling doesn't feel like you're actually leveling up.
Yeah,
Like it feels like it's just a straight action game. Like
you beat a boss. Here's the level. It's like,
yeah,
mm,
that's one of my biggest gripes with both of these Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
games, is that it doesn't feel like an actual RPG anymore,
right.
and it kind of sucks.
It does, yeah. All right, you guys ready to wrap this thing up?
Yep.
Hold on. Dragon's Dogma comes out this fucking
Yeah.
Jesus.
Uh-huh.
But
Sure does.
just remember that all the hard stuff in the original Dragon's Dogma at the start is the same in Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, you don't have infinite
haven't played the
teleporting
first
or
one.
this, that. Oh, you need to play the first one.
I own
Spoken
the
from a
first
guy who's played the first one and stopped at the exact same spot probably 20 times by now.
Right.
But that
Right.
doesn't stop me from remaking those ponds.
That's right.
one.
All right.
Love it when I get a notification and it's a memories and it's just a cat in a hat.
Super cute. All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of March 18th, 2024. Hades comes out on iOS. Yes, it's that Hades. It's on mobile devices. Please note, this is a Netflix game. So if you don't have a Netflix subscription, you can't purchase this game. So that's still a bummer. I wish that wasn't the case. I get why they don't. It would be nice if you could just spend $10 or whatever just to buy the game, but okay. So
Yeah.
I get it. Next game coming out here this week is Hi-Fi Rush. Comes out on the PlayStation 5. This is $30, which is... I wish I had finished this game when I played it on Game Pass. That way I could say, yeah, it's definitely worth it. But this game is really great, and I'm happy that it's coming to more platforms, so hopefully more people can play it. It's still on Game Pass, and probably will be forever.
That sounds like it.
Yeah, because that's a Microsoft studio at this point. So you can check that out over there on Xbox and PC on Game Pass. But go check this out on PS5, coming out this week. Next game here, Lightyear Frontier, comes out on series, consoles, and PC. This is Game Pass day and date. You might have seen this game already, like me, and didn't know what this game was called because you didn't know its name. This is the first and third
Mech
person
farming game.
Yeah, like space planet mech farming game, which looks pretty good actually. I think this looks kind of cool. So I'm glad this is coming out to Game Pass because this seems like a perfect example of a game that should be coming out on Game Pass. If you haven't watched a trailer for this, you should. It seems really cool, and it seems like it has a fun kind of sci-fi bent to it. So I like seeing more farming stuff too. I like people are always like, ooh, we're getting more farming stuff, blah. And it's like, for real? Don't act like we have 25 farming games coming out every year. Sheesh. Farming games are great too.
Not yet.
I mean, hopefully it's someday. Yeah.
No, this year's the year of the JRPGs. Next year
That's
is
right.
the year of the farming.
Yeah. Give me some sort of break so I can catch up. Sheesh. Next game up here, MLB The Show 24 comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and Switch. This is Game Pass day and date. Again, sports game. We are definitely not the people that you're coming to figure out how this latest sports game.
Hey! Joe Random hasn't been seen in a while. Thank you very much.
That's right. He's ready to come out of retirement and hit
Because
the ball.
Joe Random is also tired of seeing the same simulator over and over
That's
again.
right. I do have to say,
Yeah, but he might bump into Babe Ruth again. Who knows?
yeah, that's true. I do have to say these games still look incredible, though.
Oh, yeah.
I look really outstanding. So, and kudos to them for still being on Game Pass. That's great.
I mean,
love
if you like them, you like them. Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Kudos to the MLB for making them.
That's true. I'll give credit where credit's due. Thank you, MLB. You made a good choice, at least for once. Next game here, Alone in the Dark, comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. This is somehow a remake of the original 1992 game. Not a remake of Alone in the Dark from the PS2 or Alone in the Dark from the 360. So,
Okay.
this one is kind of an influential classic that not a lot have played. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't have the Resident Evil series, because Resident Evil 1 was directly influenced by this. But not... I'm curious to see how this one is received, because I don't think too many people are really scrambling for a remake of that first one. And so we'll see how it goes, but I'm not sure, man. I never even played this original one in 92, so I'm not entirely sure.
I don't think I ever beat it. That was probably the only time I had a computer that could actually play computer games.
Yeah, like in 92, my computer was struggling, man. Like, and I was playing too many RTSs at that point, so wasn't playing Alone in the Dark. Wow. Next game we have here, Final Fantasy XIV comes out on Xbox consoles, on Series S and X consoles. So there's a little bit here. This contains from A Realm Reborn all the way to Stormblood, which I believe is the most recent expansion. Please don't yell at me. So I think it contains... It's not like, oh, we're 2 expansions back or anything like that. There's also... If you have Game Pass, let me scroll down here on this list. There's a pack here on Game Pass that is the Final Fantasy XIV Starter Edition, which includes all of those expansion packs, redeemable if you're on Game Pass. So if you're interested in this, make sure you have that and go scoop up all that stuff. I'm sure you can buy them a la carte anyways, but if you already have Game Pass, just go get all that stuff.
There's also 2 things. There's a free trial. I don't understand the ins and outs of it because I haven't played it in a while, but look into that before you take the free trial because there's something janky about accounts. I don't remember what. So just do your research on that before you claim it.
Right.
And the other thing is you have to have the multiplayer version of Game Pass. You cannot have Game Pass Core. Because that doesn't allow you to play multiplayer games online, just Core.
Interesting.
So you have to have, what is it? I think Ultimate's the only other version, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, so you have to have Ultimate to be able to play online with other people.
Okay.
So
yeah, so I think especially the note here is do your research, especially if you're playing for the first time. Like, there's millions and millions of people playing this. There's probably incredible guides there about like, here's how you start, here's how you get your account set up, here's how you do all the regular stuff. So like go follow all those guides to get set up.
I really loved what I played of it because I played a ton of it when I bought my PS4, my original PS4. That was the only game I played for months on end. So.
Right. Yeah. Next game here, releasing Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition comes out on the PC. This comes with the Burning Shores DLC. This comes with like a bunch of extra DLC packs and stuff that they put out on the PS5, where it's like Machine Strike piece and outfits and dyes and weapons and stuff like that. So you kind of get all of the DLC, no matter how big or small. At that
Game
point.
of the Year edition, if you will.
Yeah, and like, if you're interested in playing this on PC, you go look at all the buzzwords they have. They have ultra-wide support. They have like DLSS and all the super sampling and all that stuff. Like, I'm sure it looks really incredible for those of you that have at least halfway decent cards to play. And if you haven't played these 2 games, the first game is available on PC. You need to play that first, as a reminder. You can't just hop into the second one because they kind of just
direct jumping off point.
Yeah, they just kind of say like, "Hey, remember the last one? Too bad. Let's go." So make sure you play that one. And this game was great. I still need to go and play the expansion. I never went through and played that, even though it's like 4 or 5 hours. I think Musum said it's pretty short. So I had to go do that at some point. But love those games. Love both of those. Next game here is Midnight Ghost Hunt. Comes out on PC. This is coming out of early access. I didn't know about this game until today, but this is kind of an interesting idea. It's 2 teams of players. One team plays as ghosts who try to hide in household items, and the other team are ghost hunters that are trying to find the ghosts around the environment.
Oh, that's cool.
And then when the game hits midnight, then the roles reverse. So the ghosts are trying to hunt and eliminate the ghost hunters. And the ghost hunters are trying to last until evac happens. So it looks pretty cool, actually. Like, I really recommend going and checking out some trailers because it looks like a neat kind of like almost prop hunt sort of thing, and then turning into kind of, I like the idea of turning the tables at the end. So that's Midnight Ghost Hunt coming out of early access here on
Looks
PC.
a lot like, not aesthetic wise, but the idea reminds me a lot of Prey.
Yes.
And I'm trying to remember, did Prey have a multiplayer mode?
No.
Okay.
You might be thinking
yes,
of
it
Dead.
did. Yes, it did.
No, wait. What was Prey's multiplayer mode?
Because wasn't it kind of the same thing where you were playing as either people or aliens, and you could
Mimics,
morph
yeah.
into
I don't remember that at all. I was thinking of Dead Space 2's multiplayer mode.
That was really good. Surprisingly,
That was really good too.
good.
Yeah, that was just Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, but yeah, I never played the multiplayer for Prey. If it does really exist, that's just something that's like on the very fringes of my mind.
Yeah,
right
I don't
now.
remember that at all. That's wild.
Typhon Hunter is the name of that.
Oh,
Okay.
Typhon Hunter. Was that a separate game?
Completely separate install.
Oh, okay. That's what I was confused about, because I was like, man, I don't remember a multiplayer menu option. Now I remember Typhon Hunter. Yeah.
Okay.
That poor thing was unfortunately kind of DOA, but the
It was
roguelike is
really
good.
fun.
Yeah, the roguelike is especially good too. Next game here, Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC this week. I am incredibly excited about this. I'm pretty disappointed to hear that Capcom is shooting for 30 frames and not really meeting it on consoles, which is a real bummer. I'm not going to be purchasing this day one. I'm going to keep an eye on what they're going to do for post-game support, and maybe pick it up on PC. But 30 frames doesn't work anymore, guys. Please, come on.
And I'm just not going to buy it because I never beat the first one. So until that happens, this will not be purchased.
Man, the ending of that first one, sheesh.
I already had that
what a
spoiled
trip.
for me,
Yep.
but it doesn't matter because I still, like I keep saying, the first game has everything in it that I should love.
Yep.
And I just can't do it for some reason.
Yep. That first game is a rough game. It's really janky and it's really rough.
Yeah.
Kind of in every regard. So I'm really hoping that they smooth a lot of the rough edges in this one, but keep some of that like kind of janky charm that made that first one so popular. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm very excited to see how this turns out. So far, like the preview and early reviews have been really great so far, but once people get their hands on it and see performance, we'll see how that goes. So hopefully it's good. Next game here, Princess Peach Showtime comes out on the Switch. This is that Princess Peach game where she's switching costumes to have different combat abilities. This game is the game that my daughter is very excited for, even though she doesn't play video games. So I will probably be playing this game shortly at some point so she can watch. But this looks super cool. It's nice to see Nintendo continuing to do different cool things with some of their characters. So tune in at a future week for me to talk about Princess Peach Showtime, undoubtedly.
Does it have dress spheres? Let's find out.
It seems like it pretty much does, yeah, which I'm a sucker for. So sign me up. Next game here, Rise of the Ronin comes out on PS5. This is Team Ninja's new game. Nimp, are you excited for this? Have you been keeping an eye on this?
I have been.
Okay.
I am excited for it. I just don't have time for it right now.
Yeah, this is one of those games, I feel like every once in a while, maybe like one every other year, is one of those Sony like second or third party games that comes out and people are just feral for this game, and I like watch some footage and I'm like, that looks okay, but I'm not sure I see what you all are seeing. So I'm curious to see more stuff of this and read a bunch of reviews when it comes out, just to see what people are really clicking with. But I'm with you. I absolutely do not have the time for another open world RPG at this point. Rebirth is enough right now.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, though, this is the game that was influenced by Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay. It certainly looks like it from like a combat perspective.
There's a lot of that in there as well, which is what originally caught my interest. It's like, yeah, you guys, if somebody else wants to try that kind of game, I'm willing to check it out.
Yeah, sure.
So,
yeah, 100%.
Yes, one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Next
for Underlord and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Next game here, Legend of Legacy HD Remastered comes out PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. This came out on the DS?
I believe so, yes.
I believe was the original version of it. People seemed to really, really love this game when it came out originally. I know a lot of people putting a ton of time into it. It was one of those DS games that it's like, oh, this is the RPG I'm going to just play for the next 5 years. Hooray! And I never got around to playing it, but people really seem to love this and really seem to click with it. And it looks cool. It seems like they've done a pretty good job of HD-ifying kind of a chibi SD style JRPG. So curious to see the reviews for this and see if it still holds up. Again, I obviously don't have enough time for another gigantic JRPG in 2024, a year of the massive JRPGs. But I'm glad that I didn't realize NIS is putting this out. So
yep.
Good for them. Just putting out 30 JRPGs a year that are all really good. So 2 thumbs up. Thanks. Sheesh. Let's talk about Game Pass updates for this week. The Persona 3 Reload expansion pass is out on Game Pass this week. It seems a little bit different from how you would kind of expect the expansion pass to be, in that from everything I'm seeing, it looks like you redeem it and then own it, unlike kind of your traditional Game Pass thing. So I think even if you're not playing Persona 3 Reload at this point, maybe go capture that.
I think it's available until April 25th.
Okay.
You have to go into the perks section of Game Pass, and it ties directly to your account once you claim it, just like any of the other perks.
Okay.
So I already did that on my Xbox, and my son can now access like the BGMs for Persona 3 and 4 and 5, I think it is.
Right.
And in September, when the actual expansion drops, because I had not paid attention to Reload at all. It's a known quantity. It's one of those things. Like I will get to it one day.
Right. It's not going anywhere.
I thought the Aegis thing had already dropped.
Oh, sure.
Because of this, so I'm like, all right, now you can play that. And he's like, my son's like, no, it doesn't come out until September. And I'm like, well, what are we even doing here? Come on.
I'm pretty grumpy about it because for all the good that Persona 3 FES did, so for anyone that doesn't remember the PS2 version, there's Persona 3 that came out on PS2, Persona 3 FES that came out that had all of these kind of quality of life improvements, and then it put the answer in, which is stuff that happens after the ending of the game. I hate the answer. I think it sucks. It focuses on the wrong part of Persona 3, which is the dungeon grinding part, and it focuses a lot less on the kind of interpersonal stuff. I hope they resolve some of that with, essentially, they're calling it like episode Aegis in here, but like it's essentially the answer. I'm a little grumpy about it. I don't care that they did it so soon after. If you're surprised about that, look at any of Atlus's games throughout the entire history of their company. They are more than happy to nickel and dime everybody. So
yeah, usually a year later, there's another version of it that has all of the issues you probably hated fixed in it for the same price as brand new.
Check this time next year for Persona 3 Reload FES, where it has all of this together in it, and it's $70 again.
Yeah, but my hope is them releasing it in September does add something more to it. Like you said,
I'm hoping.
Yeah, the answer wasn't the answer.
Yeah. Hey-oh, got him. Wanted to talk here quickly, PlayStation Plus game catalog for March. NBA 2K24 comes out PS4 and PS5. Marvel's Midnight Suns comes out PS4 and PS5. I'm very excited. I've been holding off on checking that out because I don't have the time. But everybody that has played that has really loved it. And I know I'll love it. I just need to kind of find the time to start it. So
it's a really fun, dumb game.
Yeah. I
and that
really love to
that
play
season pass goes on sale a lot, and I get flagged for that a lot.
It does, yeah.
It takes a lot for me to not buy it and start playing it again.
Right. Resident Evil 3 comes out PS4 and PS5. That's the remake, not the original.
Yep.
Lego DC Supervillains comes out on PS4. I actually played that a while ago. It's pretty good. It's a Lego game, so it follows literally the same formula of all of them. But if you're looking for something, especially something to play with the kids, you kind of can't beat free. So Lego games you can play for about 300 hours. Mystic Pillars Remastered. This is a game I actually didn't know anything about. Looks like a cool kind of number puzzle game where you're trying to move numbers between these giant pillars and try and kind of match the numbers that they show on the grid here. So that looks pretty cool. And Blood Bowl 3, PS4 and PS5. Super Neptunia RPG, PS4. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot comes out on PS5. That was already on PS Plus on PS4. So this is just the PS5 version coming out on that. I'm really not downloading that because I know I'd get super deep into that, and I gotta focus on the games I'm playing right now. I can't get into a Dragon Ball Z game. That way lies madness. I just can't do that to myself. And then Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy comes out on PS4. If you haven't played any of the Phoenix Wright games, that's a really good place to start. That, unless I'm totally mistaken, it should be the first 3 games, and all 3 of those games are really good. And you can't beat free if you got PS Plus, whatever tier of PS Plus that is. Who cares anymore? I can't keep them straight. All right, after about 55 games that just came out, that's the end of our episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page, including a link to the YouTube channel. Don't forget, anything that goes on the public feed has a video version along as well. And like, comment, subscribe over there. That stuff really does help. Go sign up for the Patreon page, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers.
Get all the cool audio we talked about at the beginning of the show. There's just a ton of stuff coming out every week. And I might be partial, a little bit biased. I think all of it's really good. I think we got a lot of really good shows that are firing all cylinders here. Recommend tier is the $5 tier. That's $5 per month. Fun for a $5, and get all of that cool stuff over there. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. Support us by rating the podcast wherever you can. Maximum stars or likes or whatever, please. Anything less, just like write in an envelope and throw that in your fireplace and let your grievances air into the atmosphere. And
They'll find us eventually.
Yeah. Well, through this open window, someone will be like, "Your show sucks." And it's like, perfect. Another 1 star. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Another winner.
I live for now another year. Please, like we said, like, comment, subscribe, share on whatever social media platform you're using. That stuff really does help. That's kind of the best discovery for you to say, "Hey, I like this thing." Other people might like it too. That's our episode this week. Thank you for listening. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Nimp, hit me with those titles.
I have Help Moon with the Crew, Crash Factory, Messing with the Duct Tape Mod, Gone into the Mod Hole, and hashtag Just Too Good.
All right, Moon, what do you have?
We know doctors, a killer perk, hit F to light the way, mod hole, not enough perks, balked in the update, and year of the farming game.
I have Plus Skeletons, Doom 3 Duct Tape Mod, The Mod Hole, and A Crispy Hell. Is there anything that's jumping out to any of us? Mod Hole is kind of the shared title, so that's on the short list for sure.
Yeah, I think it might be the one, to be honest. Nothing else is really singing. I like balked in the update, but that's just because I think balked is a funny word.
Mm-hmm. I like a crispy hell, but I don't think that's as punchy as Mod Hole is.
Yeah.
We can do that one. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Circling the Mod Hole.
And I am ready.
Oh my.
Sure, let's go.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 856 from March 18th, 2024. The Mod Hole.
How messed up can we make it?
How many mods does it take to break your PC?
Oh, man. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you to all the new chatters that came and hung out with us. Remember to cross-promote with Destiny Emblem Collector. DestinyEmblemCollector.com. Check it out for all your Destiny Emblem needs. Hooray! And appreciate it. Hope you all come back next week. We'll do it every week. Same place, same time. I hope to see you then. Bye!
Oi.
Bye.